She held the letter in her trembling hands, the one she had written months ago, but never had the courage to send. It contained all the words she wished she could say, but now it felt like speaking to a ghost. Lila sat by the window, the late afternoon sunlight spilling over her lap, illuminating the folded paper she had carried everywhere for weeks. She had written it during one sleepless night, the night after they had argued for the first time in months, the night he left without saying goodbye. Each word had been poured out with trembling hands, each sentence a confession of love, regret, and hope that had slowly slipped away over time. She remembered the sound of his voice that evening, soft yet distant, the way he avoided her eyes, and how the warmth she once felt whenever he looked at her had turned cold. She had begged him to stay, whispered apologies over and over, but he had only shaken his head and walked away, leaving her alone in the echo of their laughter and shared memories. The letter was her last attempt, a silent plea to fix something that may have already been broken beyond repair. She traced her fingers over the words she had written, reading them aloud in a whisper. I still love you, I always have. I'm sorry for everything, and I hope one day you can forgive me. But every time she considered sending it, a heavy weight settled in her chest. What if he had moved on? What if he never wanted to hear from her again? And so, it remained tucked in her notebook, a quiet confession that no one would ever read. Days passed into weeks, and the city outside her window carried on with its indifferent rhythm. The streets buzzed with life. People laughed, cars honked, and yet, inside her small apartment, time felt frozen. Every place reminded her of him, the cafe where they had shared hot chocolate, the park where he had once held her hand, the bookstore where they had lingered for hours, exploring each other's worlds. Every corner of the city had a memory embedded in it, a whisper of the love she had lost. One evening she received a message that made her heart skip, not a message from him, but from someone else. A mutual friend, casually asking if she was okay, unknowingly opened the floodgates she had been trying to keep at bay. Tears came unbidden as she typed a reply, her fingers shaking, unable to form words that could capture the storm inside her. And for the first time in weeks she allowed herself to grieve fully, to feel the ache of absence that had haunted her nights. That night, Lila curled up in bed with the letter pressed to her chest. Sleep eluded her, but the pain in her heart was raw and alive. She imagined him reading it, imagined him turning the paper over in his hands, seeing her words and maybe, just maybe, feeling a flicker of what she still felt. But she knew, deep down, that imagination could only take her so far. Some things could not be reversed. Some doors, once closed, could never be opened again. Months later, she finally forced herself to go back to that cafe. She sat in their old corner, the sunlight now softer, the air cooler, the scent of coffee filling the space where his laughter once echoed. And as she unfolded the letter, she realized she no longer wanted him to read it. The words were for her, a release from the memory that had held her captive for too long. She read them aloud one final time, letting each sentence dissolve into the quiet hum of the cafe. By the time she left, the letter was crumpled in her hand. She did not throw it away. She tucked it safely in her coat pocket, a reminder of the love she had lost, the lessons she had learned, and the resilience that now lived quietly inside her. The city felt different that day, not because anything had changed outside, but because inside, she had found the strength to carry on, to exist without holding on to what was gone. Heartbreak is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet, lingering ache that never truly leaves but softens over time. Lila walked down the street, sunlight brushing her face, breathing in the world that continued without pause. And though the ache remained, she felt something else too, something like hope, like the faintest whisper of a new beginning, waiting for her just around the corner.